central question really for me in my dissertation, and really the central question for many people in nonprofits in a variety of circumstances, is this: why do governments make the decisions when they do, that they do when they do? And people are often puzzled by that, and I do think there's some ways of explaining it. All things being equal, and I think this is true, government will do today and tomorrow what it did yesterday. Government survived yesterday, and they'll tend to do the same things again. But that's not always the case. Actually, there's some American scholars that have focused particularly on the dynamics of change, and I'm a fan of those. All things are not equal. Things go boom. Mount Poly dam breaks. A train blows up in the middle of a small town in Quebec. Those things drive policy change. Similarly, the Supreme Court renders decisions, and our Supreme Court in particular has been activist in a number of areas, not just in terms of striking down portions of Bills 27, 28, 29, but also they've been very activist in terms of right to die with dignity. In the Aboriginal relations area, have rendered some powerful decisions which have shifted ground importantly. As well, new governments are elected, and we may have a new government elected on May the 9th. We'll see. But all of those things and economies and revenues shift unexpectedly. These are the kind of things that move governments in directions they hadn't anticipated before. For example, why did the governments of BC and Ontario in 2009, spring of 2009, decide after 20 years of disparaging harmonization of sales taxes, why did they suddenly decide that it was the greatest thing since sliced bread? Well, good question, and there is a wonderful answer for that in BC Studies for those that are interested. So the question here is, do we have an unprecedented opportunity in terms of relationship building? And I think we may. We've got a 6-year collective agreement between BC and the BCTF. I think that runs through until sometime in 2019. So there's an interval of relative labor peace, and that's wonderful. Also, the political and legal chickens related to Bills 27 and 28 of 2002 have come home to roost. And there's agreement on the remedy. There's an agreement on the compensatory package that was arrived at in negotiations between government and the BCTF, and it will see the introduction of substantial new resources into public schools. And so I do think there may be a reset here that has been produced by the Supreme Court of Canada, and maybe, just maybe, history ain't what it used to be. Maybe it will be possible in 2017, 2018, 2019 for the BCTF and government to build a new and different relationship. I think it would be wonderful if that were the case. Notwithstanding our sometimes torturous labor relations, somehow we've been able to generate a pretty darn good public school system. I can't imagine how good it could be if people were actually working together rather than adversarial. So one of my maxims is relationships are not important in politics and government. Relationships are everything in politics and government.